All right. So um, I kind of want to just talk about last week a little bit. Um, Sheila Brown, hello from Georgia. Hello, Sheila. I want to talk about last week. Last week I talked about, the traumatic event that happened with Broomhilda. Broomhilda, I can't tell you who she was, how she relates to me, or how she's related at all, because I want you to get the book to see that. And I just want to say something. Speaking, I'm talking about needing you guys to get the book. The book is intended to um, let you see my mindset, to show you what my thinking is, because a lot of times, most people see a person behaving a certain way, and they, just think the person is a bad person. They don't think that something could have happened to that person that changes or contributes to their bad behavior. They just think that the person is a bad behavior. So the book is intended to show you the things, the traumatic events that happened in my life that caused me to think a certain way. And the book describes in great detail, my behavior. So I want to show you in this book that what contributed to it, first of all, and what contributed to my mindset and the events that took place later on. The book will show you the gradual change of my mindset that kind of makes me who I am today. So it shows the shift in my thinking, shows the shift in my mindset. So prior to that situation with Broomhilda, there were some things that contributed to my perception, that contributed to my thinking. Um, so I'm in this part that I'm going to read. After the situation with Broomhilda, I had begun to stay out at night, trying to avoid the grips of this woman. And I had begun to hang out with a bunch of, usually the guys were older than I was. And the reason why I hung out with older guys, because they were more specific. They didn't care about what I looked like, what I smelled like, my teeth were bucked. They didn't care about any of that. All they wanted to know if I could steal. If I could steal, if I can run fast, if I can get some money. That's all that they were concerned with. And then when I showed that I can, they allowed me to hang out with them. And, that's all I really needed, was somebody to belong to, a group to belong to, somebody to show me some love, any kind of love, a sense of belonging. That was important to me. And that's why I, hung out with those guys. But all of these things that I talk about, the situation with Broomhilda and the situation I'm about to read, contributed to my thinking, which made me more open to hang out with those dudes and do the things that I did. So, um, okay, so I guess I'll read it now. Somebody says, "Good afternoon from Cleveland." Who is that, Jesse? Hey, Jesse, what's going on, man? Oh, it looks like a woman there. So, hey, Jesse, how are you? And it looks like Georgina joined us. Maisha joined. Okay, Red October sent the rose. Thank you, Miss Red October. I appreciate the jokes too. Christopher joined. Shay joined. So thank you so much. I appreciate you guys coming in to hear about this book. As I said, this book is called Almost Nothing, and um, it should be published, hopefully, God willing, probably before, but I'm gonna hope. I'm gonna say by the end of September, and probably before. But then once I get it published, I'm gonna be out and I'm gonna be making appearances at different bookstores, doing book signings all over this state and other states to make sure my message get out there. And so the book is about my life, and it's geared towards helping people to uh, uh, change their mindset. But that take work. It's just not about going to therapy and listen to somebody and you automatically change. It doesn't happen that way. You have to change your mindset. Okay, so here is in this part of the book, I'm remembering something. So after the situation with Broomhilda happened, I started to hang out a lot with the fellas on the block. and I ended up doing something and I ended up going to jail. I was in a place called Jamesburg. It's a juvenile facility in New Jersey, and I had been there, and I had come back, and nothing had changed. So I'm sitting in a place. You guys will see the place once you get the book, and I'm remembering some stuff that happened in my life. So here we go. So my mom had set it up for me. Hope you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me well? Somebody let me know if you guys can hear me well. Kitty just joined, Kitty Jefferson. So Miss Lorraine, thank you so much. Lorraine says she could hear me. And Miss Christina saying that she can hear me. And Miss Lynn Brown is saying that they can hear me. Okay. So my mom had set it up for me to move in with my dad for a while, perhaps until the heat died down. I really didn't know how to feel about that because one of my most depth feelings of nothingness came at the hands of my dad. My mom and he had long ago gone their separate ways. From what I heard, my dad was one of Third Street's well known people. He was tall, good looking, slick, in a country kind of way, dapper, and people genuinely seemed to like him. He was polite and always a gentleman. Most people respected him. One Christmas, it was said that Geechee Leroy was coming to the building. Everybody was talking about it. I was about 8 years old. I had no contact with him, so I was excited that I would get a chance to see him. In my head, I believed that he would come into the apartment bearing gifts and he would swoop me up in his arms, kiss my head, and tell me how much he missed me and loved me. I stood at the window of our second floor apartment for what seemed like hours with my face pushed against the glass, waiting for him to come. Finally, a large brown and beige station wagon pulled up and double parked in front of the building. A tall, brown skinned, handsome man got out of the passenger side wielding a brand new guitar in one hand and a bag of colorful gift wrapped gifts in the other. I ran to the kitchen yelling, "Mommy, my father's here, my father's here." My mom was silent and continued to wash the dishes. I could feel her occasionally look down at me with an indiscernible expression. Soon after, there was a knock on the door. I stood next to my mom, smiling and anticipating. "Come in," she welcomed in her "I wonder who that is" voice. In walked this phenomenal figure, taller than he appeared and more handsome than I imagined. If I could have thought of a word back then that would have fully described him at that moment, it would have been majestic. My dad was majestic. As I stood there looking into his face, waiting for him to make eye contact with me, he said, "Hey," to my mom in an indifferent tone, held the guitar and the bag out to her in what I thought to be a look of disdain on his face, turned around and walked right back out the door, never even acknowledging me. I felt invisible, yet my heart felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. There was a huge lump in my throat and my eyes filled up with water. I could not speak. My soul screamed, "Daddy, Daddy, don't you see me? Daddy, Daddy, I'm right here. Don't you see me?" I heard each one of his footsteps get further and further away as he walked down the hall, down the stairs, and out the building. I could not bring myself to look out the window to watch him leave. I was too weak. Instead, I sank to the floor, crying and thinking, what did I do to him? Why don't he love me? Why don't he want to be my father? So I'm thinking that uh, I was somewhere, and this was my thoughts about my dad because, he wasn't present for the most part of my early life. And that had a huge effect on me. It catered to, well, it opened the door for that stuff to happen with Broomhilda and for me to be so accepting of what she told me, not of what she was doing, but what she told me, that I was nothing, that I wasn't shit and that I was going to die before I turned 18 years old, that I'd be in prison and don't nobody want me, and so having that feeling of nothingness, it opened the door for those feelings to be compounded. As I said, man, many people carry that shit throughout life. They don't address it, they just stuff that feeling and they carry it throughout their lives, and it follows up with behavior, and then people just see them and think that, wow, this is a bad person. but they don't know that a lot of things happen, in between time that causes that person to be who they are, especially when they don't address it. I, for the sake of this live, I'm going to say that my father and I reconciled. You know, prior to his passing, way prior to his passing, him and I had a grown man conversation, and he told me some things that I'm not going to discuss here, but he told me some things that make me understand, why he did what he did when he did it. At that young age, certainly my mind wouldn't be able to grasp those things, but as an adult, you kind of see what an adult uh, thought. You can kind of identify with what an adult thought at the time that they were doing what they did. So, I understood and I forgave, and we became the best of friends at the very least. He was my dad, and I loved him, and he loved me as his son. But yeah. So those things contribute. But this book is phenomenal, man. And I'm not just saying it because I wrote it. That's Janie. Good evening, Miss Janie. Um, so, I'm not just saying it because I wrote the book. I think it's well needed. I think it's needed for people to understand that, and I say it all the time, mindset is everything. Your mindset, your perception caters to your behavior. How you think is how you're going to act. That's usually how that works. Um, so um, I did this week, last week, and I did this week, and I'm going to do it again. Somebody invite somebody. Who is this? Sweet 68 to join live as a guest. I don't know if I should do that. Not saying that you got ill intent. I just don't know if I should do that. But if there's any questions, anybody got any questions that they want to ask about the book or about my life, how I was able to make the shift in my life, we can talk briefly about that. I don't want to give the whole story away, but I will answer some questions about that. Not particularly about the contents of the book because I want you guys to enjoy it. I want you to read it, and I want you to see the gradual shift in my thinking and see those experiences that happen. So these two readings were about the trauma, the things that happen, the impactful things that happen. And it showed. So the next reading is going to be about my behavior. You guys are going to see some of the stuff that I did, and so uh, I just want to tell you that my perception of of people in general was warped based on my dad and and also my mom and about the people that I was running around with. My perception was a certain way, and so I behaved a certain way. So my perception about people was warped. My perception about sex was warped. My perception about love was warped. Family was warped, about who I was as a person was warped. All of that shit. Uh, do you do speaking engagements? Miss Lynn asked me that. Well, I do. I do. I have a history of motivational speaking. I've spoken at an event in Baltimore. I did some speaking at colleges in New Jersey, some grade schools in New York, community centers in Passaic, New Jersey. So if you want to book me as a speaker to come in and do some motivational speaking, or even just to just talk about my book, you can hit me on almost everything 630 at gmail.com or almost everything at gmail. I'm sorry, almost everything 630 at gmail.com. Yeah. And then I'll get back to you and we can arrange for me to come out and do some stuff. Miss Lisa Joyner is saying, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Miss Lisa. How are you? And yeah, so like I said, this the idea of the book is just to show you the things that happen and to show you the behavior that ensued. So these two readings were about the impactful stuff that happened, but the next reading is going to be about some of the behavior you're going to see, and I talk in detail. And as I said before, I don't want to offend anybody, but the only way for me to write it in a way in which you guys fully get the understanding would be if I'm as detailed as I am. Now, everybody know about sex, right? We all grown people. But when I'm writing about it in my book, I talk about it in great detail. We all know about violence and fighting, and in this book, I talk about it in great detail. But I also talk about the healing process, and I talk about that in great detail. And you know, a lot of times men don't want to discuss how they heal, or even if they don't even want to recognize that they need healing. But in this book, I talk about, you know, what it took for me to realize that I was broken in some way, fractured in some way, and that I needed help. So I talk about that in great detail. And I talk about the events that happened that made me realize that, you know, because a lot of times things happen in our life and it alters our perception, even subtly. We don't even realize how it has impacted our life because it's so subtle. But if we really do some introspection, we can see how some of those things that happens to us in our life, how it changes us, in even the smallest way. But it ends up having a very big impact on our life. So yeah, so the next reading, which is going to be next Sunday, 7 days from now, will be the 18th. So Sunday, August 18th, I'm going to have another reading, and I'm going to talk about my behavior. I think I'm going to do first the behavior as it relates to you know, my thoughts or my thinking about women. That's a big one because it took a lot of work for me to change that mindset. You know, as you can realize, as you probably imagine, that thing with Broomhilda was it was monstrous. You know what I mean? It was a beast, and it strongly impacted my thinking. So my behavior followed. So I'm going to be talking about uh, my thinking about women, and my behavior showed how I thought, and it took a lot of work to try to fix that. And so I always advocate therapy. You know, in our culture, a lot of times we don't subscribe to therapy. We think that it's for crazy people, but no, it's not. It's not for crazy. It's for people who have some issues, who have some issues trying to map shit out, who trying to figure some shit out. And a lot of times when we get in front of a therapist, we do all the talking, and the therapist kind of shows us what we need to fix. They point it out, and then we have to do the work to fix it. Um, okay, so if anybody have any questions, we can take some questions, and then I want to let you guys go. I don't want to put you in a headlock for too long. I see that there's, I'm sorry, I can't really see. Uh, Jay Bigelow. Okay, hey Jay Bigelow. And if so, did she ever apologize? I didn't see your first part of that question, but Janie is asking if she, I'm assuming you mean Broomhilda, did she ever apologize? No. So I never said anything. I never said anything until I was um, maybe 40, you know, and I was talking to my sister Dee Dee about it, and Dee Dee was a beast. If anybody know me and know my sister, Dee Dee was a beast, and you know, I told Dee Dee about it, and she was steamed. You know, I never told my mother about it. My mother passed away not knowing, and but the woman passed away. She passed away in another state, and she passed away. I don't know the details about it, but she passed away. I had never said anything. Um, okay, is there any other questions? Anybody? So I gotta ask about that. You're welcome. You're welcome, Jamie. So I'm gonna ask about that because I keep seeing some stuff. Hey, Santiago, how are you? I see. I'm getting some people. I guess it's maybe it's algorithm. I'm not sure, but it says invite people to join on my live. So I don't know if I should do that or you know if they're requesting to join or am I just inviting them? So I'm not sure how to do that, but you know. Again, so I'm going to ask you guys. I see Lisa liked my live, so thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate that. Please like the live, and if you don't follow me, please follow me. You know, You know, I do a lot of exciting things. I try and work out regular, and I kind of show you guys not necessarily the workout, but you know, I take some short videos of it and I post it. I always have inspirational quotes that I talk about, and I also talk about my life, some things that I've done, but I don't just leave it there. I talk about the hit. You know, I talk about the lesson learned from those things that I did. And I think that's more important because a lot of times we do some shit and we just let it slide. We don't think about the lesson that's learned from the things we do. Is your healing an everyday experience? Miss Lynn asks. Absolutely, Miss Lynn. Absolutely, it's an everyday experience because, and I think that not only if you suffer some trauma, but I think that being a grown person, you have to monitor your behavior. You know, you have to monitor and manage how you speak to people, what you do to people. You have to manage that regularly. So it's an everyday experience. Thank you for asking that question. I appreciate it. Um, Tap the screen, everyone. Oh, tap the screen. Lisa's telling you guys to tap the screen. Yes, please, please like the live. And if, like I said, if you're not following me, please go ahead and follow me on Instagram. I mean, I appreciate that. Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or YouTube, either one. As I said, I don't know how to translate this live over to Instagram and Facebook like I've seen other people do. I don't. I'm not that savvy. I'm gonna sit down with my niece and have her show me how to do it. But I'm also gonna save this and I'll post it on YouTube later. Um, but again, thank you guys. I appreciate you so much for chiming in. It is 3:24. I'm not sure how long these things are supposed to run, but I don't want to hold you guys hostage. And you know, I've seen them run as long as an hour. Uh, but it says hit the arrow to share to IG. Which arrow are you talking about, Miss Lynn? There's an arrow. Which arrow? On is that the bottom left arrow? Should I do that now or should I wait until after? Left bottom arrow. Should I do that now, Miss Lynn, or should I wait till it's done to hit that? I can do it on my end. Oh, you can. Okay, well, please do that for me, Miss Lynn. I appreciate that. Okay. Uh-oh, Lisa Joyner, 329, shared the live. Fantastic. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Thank you too, Miss Lynn. I appreciate that. So I think I'm gonna do it too. If I could just let me just see if I could just press that button and it says Instagram Direct. Is that where I share it? Instagram Direct. And it says Instagram Direct. Is that where I share it? Instagram Direct. Oh, here it is. But that's Instagram Direct. That's sharing it with people. I want to share with the whole, so that anybody sees it. No, I can't do it. All right, so maybe you guys will show me how to do it some other time. I see that 7 people have shared it, and thank you so much. I appreciate the help because without you guys, I couldn't be able to do it. So, like I said, I'm going to sit down with my niece, and she's going to show me how to do it. But thank you guys. I appreciate it. Hey, Donette, how are you? I see you. I see you. Thank you so much for joining us. I hadn't seen you earlier, so you may have missed the reading of my book, but it's going to be shared, and I'm going to save it when I'm done, and I'll post it again on YouTube. And if I can post it here, I will. All right. So it's been a half an hour that I've been on, and I don't know how long it's supposed to go, but I don't want to take it too far. But thank you guys. I appreciate that, and I'll be back on next Sunday, which is the 18th at 7 p.m. And at that time, I'll talk about the behavior. And I gotta say, I always want to make this disclaimer: is that I write in uh, detail, and it's very detailed. So if you are easily offended when hearing about sex, then when hearing about sex, then maybe you shouldn't join us. And then again, I don't really know how far I can talk about that. I mean, because maybe the censors won't let me talk as much as as much as I've written about it. so, so maybe I can't talk about that either. You're right with the real rap, Miss Kimmy G. Thank you so much, Kim. I appreciate that. It is what it is. I'm going to try, and if I'm interrupted, then maybe I have to read something else. So in the meantime, I'm going to see you guys on Sunday, the 18th at 7 p.m. for another live here. And I appreciate everybody who joined in. I appreciate everybody who shared the live. I appreciate all the conversation. So in the meantime, stay grinding.